On back, and if you're just joining us, we just got done defeating the vault monster here. Actually, I recorded that last video kind of a while ago. A lot has happened since then. I've actually been getting really into artificial intelligence, or AI, so I wanted to go ahead and make a quick video about that, because even though I'm in no way an expert by any means, I've never taken an official class on it, I do have a little experience. I did participate on a team at CSU. Oh, and by the way, we're going to loot the vault. That's what we usually do after you take down a vault piece. But anyways, my little bit of experience is that I was on a team in a coding competition back in college at Colorado State University, and my team actually made it to the semifinals nationally out of every team in the country. Also, you might notice I turned down the dialogue, so you can kind of hear Tanis, but I decided from here on out, I think I'm actually going to lean more towards just talking, and then you know, this will still be kind of a walkthrough. Like, we're level 20 already, and I've only been playing for about 11 hours on this character. So, that's pretty neat. But anyways, the main goal of these episodes, and the reason I'm doing this, is to kind of provide a way for people that are a little bored with normal tutorials, like watching people do things on YouTube where it's like, okay, here's code, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. And just kind of discussing things. So it's kind of like a hybrid of a podcast mixed with gaming, mixed with a walkthrough. And I'll still explain some stuff, like, let's see, I think this is how you break things. Yep, start smashing stuff. So, check out what you can do now. You can break up iridium. So yeah, like I said, I'll do a little bit of walkthrough stuff, but really, if you haven't played Borderlands by now, yeah. And I might go back and make an actual legit walkthrough later on, but like I said, my main focus is just to kind of vent some education stuff and practice my speaking skills as far as technical concepts are concerned, yada yada yada. So, anyways, back to AI. So I do have a little experience. We did a coding competition, and it was where we played a game. I forget the name of it. It's definitely not a very popular game, but the concept of the game was to buy and sell stocks as you moved across the board. And Windward made it relevant by making the stocks like Amazon, Google, you know, stuff like that, not like the original game was. But the basic concept was, it was like stock exchanges. You had to make business decisions based on stock market trends, or like how valuable or invaluable certain stocks were, and you know, there was a lot of other factors that went into it. And again, like I said, this is a very basic concept of artificial intelligence. I'm watching some of those kind of less than boring tutorials. I actually found someone on LinkedIn who does a very good job of describing them, Ali K. Miller. I'll try to add a link to her in the description of this video, but you know, she really knows her stuff. Been doing it for like over 10 years, and she works for Amazon. She's like, yeah, she really intelligent person, so I've been watching those, and I've also been reading a book on Bayesian techniques for artificial intelligence, which, you know, after, wait, what am I doing? Oh, return to Maya. Okay. So maybe still need to pay attention to what's going on with the text dialogue. But anyways, that's why I say I'm definitely a very early beginner into artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. Well, that's a perfect example. I just found out a few minutes ago watching one of Ali's videos that deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of AI. Now, I kind of had an idea about that back when I was in school. I know there was classes we could take in machine learning and AI, so I knew they were separate concepts, but at the same time, like, I knew they were kind of related.
Ava,
so,
I'm trying to keep you safe.
By just ditching me on the ship? You said I could be a vault hunter like you! You promised!
You will, when you're ready.
What's up, bitches? Ow, Troy, look what they left for us.
Thanks for doing all the hard work. Man, you vault thieves only think with your trigger fingers, huh?
Keep this up and I'll be a god for real.
We'll be gods.
That's what I said. Now, let me do my thing.
No! What are you doing?
Taking what's ours. See, the monsters don't protect the power of the vaults. They are the power of the vaults.
And now it's all mine.
Hey, Save any for the parasite?
Gah.
We're leaving. Now.
We should be kicking their asses!
So who's the brat? You I get, but what's her deal?
She's no one. I'm your problem.
I'm gonna be a siren, and then I'm gonna mop the floor with assholes like you!
You're gonna... Is that how you think this works? Honey, you're not even gonna leave this place.
Put her down. That's what I thought.
Maya!
Ava, don't! Be ready.
No!
I thought you could only take from me.
I guess it's any siren.
Come on. We got what we came for.
Yeah, a lot more. But hey, if that siren thing ever works out for you...
Okie dokie. So I let that play scene cut out, or that cutscene play out, because it is a really good one. I'll still probably do that through these, but yeah. And actually, real quick, one of the cool things about Borderlands, definitely like how they started bringing back sirens like that. Originally, there was only the one siren, and then eventually there kept being more and more. And now, you know, even Ava's probably going to be one in the next coming up games. So I don't know. And I got mixed feelings about her too. Like the fact that she's stowed away, and a lot of people are upset at her because she accidentally caused Maya's death, but at the same time, I think it would have just happened either way. I do respect how she whipped out a doll, really nice submachine gun, and tried to fight back, so that's cool. But anyways, alright, back to the lecture at hand. So yes, artificial intelligence. We've got, let's see, return to sanctuary. Alright. Yeah, so the Windward code game, that was just a fun, brief introduction to it. And I've also more recently developed a Tic Tac Toe game in JavaScript, which is by far, or far from being done. I still have a lot that I want to go back and do to it, and I plan on doing that real soon. I'll also throw in a link to my artificial intelligence page in the description of this video. I pretty much lay out the basics, but again, like I'm just starting out learning, like a lot of you probably are, so yeah, bear with me, and as I learn, I'll keep adding more stuff and changing content and making it better. So, but the basic idea was to take a very simplistic game, and there isn't really much that's simpler than Tic Tac Toe, and that way you're able to study the actual pieces and aspects of artificial intelligence. So, and let's back up a little bit real quick and redefine what artificial intelligence is. I don't have the official definition in front of me. I found a good one on Wikipedia, but the basic concept of artificial intelligence is to program machines and tools to act in ways that a human would. So, you know, a lot of people think when they hear artificial intelligence, they think killer robots, Terminator, you know, and definitely stuff that we need to look out for. We need to be careful with our development of artificial intelligence. However, the current state of AI is far from that. I mean, we do have some pretty impressive tools and technologies. Definitely look up IBM's Watson, which is a very intelligent artificial intelligence that can play chess And we've got things like chatbots. I'm sure you know everyone's familiar with, or well, if chat rooms are still a thing anymore. They were back when I was younger. But anyways, a lot of people have seen what are called chatbots, which they'll try to mimic like as if you're talking to someone. Actually, yeah, even one of the Facebook scams recently, I got a friend request from my grandma of all people, and I was already friends with her, and I noticed the profile picture was very similar yet slightly altered. And yeah, it had her name, had a little bit of info, like somebody just looked at her profile and copied it. So I accepted the friend request because this was before I knew about this sort of thing. And let's see, talk to Lilith. Yeah, and basically what I was confronted with was a chatbot that immediately started messaging me on Messenger, trying to pose as my grandma. Now, I thought it was a little strange. Trying to remember exactly what it said, but it was very generic, very basic conversation that I could tell it was designed to fit just about any situation, regardless of whether it was someone's grandma, someone's girlfriend, someone's friend, you know, whatever the case may be. And it was basically a high-tech version of phishing, which is a security concept. A lot of people, I'm sure, a lot more people are familiar with the email phishing schemes, where people try to pose as, you know, either important people or also pose as family members, friends, stuff like that, loved ones. And they'll try to get you to click links, or they'll try to get you to divulge more personal information about you. And it's a whole thing, and it's called social engineering, and it is a form of hacking, and definitely illegal. So, I mean, it's kind of a gray area about like how far you have to go to make it actually illegal, but my advice is, if you're going to make a chatbot, don't do it to do anything nefarious, because you could get charged. But anyway, that's my spiel on that. But the reason I bring that up is that's a more relevant, recent situation of artificial intelligence, and it's a very basic level. Like I said, we have gotten a lot more complex with things like IBM's Watson. I know Amazon has a bunch of AI algorithms. Google's developing AIs. Like, they're definitely out there, so it's worth checking out. Let's see, I'm supposed to talk to Ava after this, I believe. They're all mourning Maya. Yeah, it's very sad. I liked Maya. But anyways, such is Borderlands. If you've played the other games, you know about the other tragic deaths. There's even the one, I won't do any spoilers, but there's the one in the Tales from the Borderlands that I didn't know about because I didn't play that game until this game, when I started hearing references about it. And yeah, so spoilers be gone. We won't talk about that. So anyways, back to artificial intelligence. A good place to start out with artificial intelligence is to do like I'm doing and take a very easy game and try to program a computer to be a worthy opponent. Now, in my Tic Tac Toe game, I actually had several difficulty settings. You know, everything from really easy, where the computer was just, it seemed very dumb, like it would pick random moves that didn't seem logical. It was very easy to beat the easy mode. And then I also added an impossible difficulty where as soon as the player picked a spot, it would just fill all the other spots in, and it was kind of in a troll or a joke mode that there was no way you could win. And there's a lot of other cool things that you can do to customize an artificial intelligence, but even let's talk Borderlands here. So all of these non-playable characters are run by an AI, and depending on how important they are in the story or the gameplay, their AI will be different. But like, see right here, you know, this is a player. We've got Moxie. You can talk to her. She says things. She bounces around. She's basically eye candy, and sometimes she's got missions and sometimes she interacts more, but for the most part she just wanders around the ship and does her thing. Now, this specific AI has some programming where she's usually found in her bar, so that means that there's some kind of piece of code in her algorithms that says, hey, stay by the bar, except for times like this when we were all gathered here, then maybe she's allowed to stray a little further. And if you notice, she's not actually heading back to the bar. We can interact with her some more. She's saying something. But, yeah. And that's just a very small form of AI. Another one, look, we have an example right here. Our pet. Our pet is set to randomly wander back and forth when we're stationary. However, if we go running off into the distance, our pet follows us. See, there's a leash distance that is no doubt programmed in the code to make sure that this pet, and when you touch it, you can interact. It does a thing. See, look, aw, it gives cuddles and love, and it even rolls over. And there's almost unlimited things you can do with AI. These are just really great examples. And look, we can talk to Tannis, who, again, she's usually tethered to her lab. Right now she's wandering out here, staring off into the space, talking about stuff and things, and yeah. And now we talk to Lilith. So yeah, video games, AI is huge. Just about every video game you have, you know, dating back to the early Mario games way back in the day, and even Pong. You know, if you think about it, Pong was developed to react to a player's moves. So the player moves the paddle, hits the ball, and then, oh yeah, that music's kind of loud. So, anyways, yeah, AI is everywhere if you just know where to look. So, and especially video games. And to be a good game developer, you're going to need an understanding of artificial intelligence. I just recently saw Elon Musk post a job about AI for Tesla, and so it's definitely in demand, and unfortunately the bar is set pretty high. Now I know Elon Musk said in his post that you don't really need a lot of experience with AI. He was more concerned about your experience programming and working with software, which makes sense because that's another huge thing about AI is making your algorithms optimized enough to where it can do a whole bunch of things in a very efficient and clean way. So, like a lot of times if games are really laggy, you know, part of the reason could be all this stuff going on under the hood, like say the code for Lilith, the code for Tannis, the code for Moxie, and so on, is constantly running in the background. So you want it to be as minuscule as possible while still achieving the same effect. Like look, she's just standing here. Now, this would seem kind of unnatural, not very normal. She's just standing here staring. So it's a good AI, but it's not perfect by any means. So, you know, those are certain trade-offs that the maker or Gearbox decided to go with. Is like, okay, so Moxie will actually turn to look at us if we're close enough, you know, or if we're being creepy enough. I don't know. But anyways, something to consider when you do start developing your own code. Now, something like Tic Tac Toe, and same with the game that I did for the Windward Code competition, you don't really need to worry about efficiency nearly as much then because, well, the goal of the Windward competition was just to win the game. Like, it was basically, you know, make the computer make wise enough decisions based on situations and occurrences in the game that would influence its decisions just like a normal person would. So, and if I find that game, maybe I'll make an example of how to play that and stuff, or at least maybe just make a layout. So if you choose to go ahead and make it for one of your own projects, for your own portfolio, you know, cool, that would be awesome. I mean, definitely a good way to go. However, like I said, I will add a link to my Tic Tac Toe description because I have already done all of the legwork in that situation and given you a very good starting example on how to go about programming an AI. In fact, I haven't even started writing any new code. I've just been laying out like the planning phase. And it's really extensive. This is nothing to just kind of fall into. Like, you're going to have to spend some time doing it, take some dedication, and remember, take breaks, and maybe even try to do what I'm doing. Like, part of the reason I'm doing these videos is so I can actually solidify my understanding of things that I learn. That's why I'm doing an AI one, is because I'm, like I said, just getting into AI, and now I'm going to try to teach AI as I go. So, anyways, back to Tic Tac Toe. We've only got 10 minutes, so that's about good. So anything I don't cover on Tic Tac Toe in this video, go check out the link, check out my website. I'm gonna still be editing it a while, but as of the time of this video release, I do have a pretty in-depth description of what you should consider when programming an AI. So, and we aren't even getting into machine learning and deep learning yet. These are just still very basic AIs, game AIs, you know, one of the most basic. In fact, let's see here. I know Claptrap's around here somewhere. There's an AI for this guy. Who's this guy? Just had a name. Yeah, Service Bot. Service Bots are also non-playable characters that just kind of roam around the ship, and they have AIs, you know, same as Moxie, same as Tannis, same as all of the other characters. Anyways, sorry. So Tic Tac Toe. The reason you want to start with a very basic game is because, well, it's basic. There's not a lot that can go wrong. There's not a lot of corner cases, not a lot of things that you would need to plan for in advance. So that makes it a perfect starting point for anyone interested in learning artificial intelligence. Now, with Tic Tac Toe, first thing to do is to lay out the basics. You want to make sure that you understand the rules, even though I know it seems redundant. You're going to want to do this with anything you program in life, any project, any coding challenge, anything. You want to make sure that you're very thorough in the beginning. That way you don't continually stumble over yourself later when you're coding, and that's actually what happened with me when I made my Tic Tac Toe game in JavaScript, probably a year or two ago, back when I was looking for a web development job. Yeah, I was doing it as a project, just to kind of showcase my skills in JavaScript. And yeah, it was somewhat impressive, but there were still bugs. It was glaringly obvious, and I abandoned it because I had gotten so deep in the weeds, so to say, that it was just hard to code myself back out of the hole. Like, I was thinking of things on the fly, like, oh wait, I want to add difficulty settings. Oh, okay, well, let's go back and let's, adjust the code to allow for difficulty settings. Or, oh wait, I want to make the game board look different. Or, I want to use a different color scheme. Okay, well, that's fine, but the main thing that you should worry about in the beginning is the basics. And once you have a working program that actually can play the game, then you can move on and continue tweaking it, adding to it, stuff like that. And that's why, video games like Borderlands take years to develop sometimes. I mean, definitely months. And they have several high-paid, programmers writing the code and testing it and all this stuff and yada, yada, yada. So, again, those are things that you don't really have to worry about so much with your Tic Tac Toe game. Like, you can easily test it yourself just by playing it a few times. Maybe have a family member or a friend or a colleague try it out. Say, hey, I made this game. Can you give it a whirl and see what you think? So, anyways. Alright, get that mission 2. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. It is a little harder without the dialogue, but yeah, like I said, I might make a walkthrough eventually. Not really my focus here, so. Anyways, back to Tic Tac Toe. So, before you even start out, definitely before you write any code whatsoever, you're going to want to write some things down. So, first things I would do is make sure that you understand the game without a doubt, like inside and out. And the reason you want to do this is because computers only do what you tell them to do. So, there's no inference, no, inherent logic on the part of the machine. You can download libraries and maybe use someone else's code to do that, but if you want to make it from scratch, like your completely own game, which I advise you should, you got to account for everything. Open them real quick. Let's go break that iridium. Oh, it was a trap, but I like this iridium. We're going to gather this up, and then we'll fight the baddies. Now that we can break iridium blocks. Anyways, so Tic Tac Toe. You got 2 players. You make sure you write out the rules. So 2 players. Each player takes their turn selecting one space on a 3x3 grid, and they can choose either an X or an O. Now, again, even as you're writing this, you might add a note later, be like, maybe think of other letters rather than just X and O to make it more interesting. Like, maybe make it Transformers, Decepticons versus Autobots logos, or if you're actually going to try to market this game for sale later, then you want to avoid copyright things and say, maybe I'll make it aliens versus humans and make cool little graphics and just use those instead of X's and O's. So, but anyways, just keep those as notes. Don't worry about getting really too deep into it at the beginning. What you want is a viable product that actually works. You want a tic-tac-toe game that you can play with a computer, and the computer will play back. So, anyways, write out the rules, and we also have a grid. So we have a 3x3 grid that we're going to need to program with 9 available spaces for moves. And we're going to need to make the code to where we can interact with that grid and select a space, and it'll reflect that. It'll show either an X or an O based on which we are playing it. Some other things that you can take care of in the beginning is, do you want the user to be able to select X's or O's, or do you want it to just default? Now, personally, I wanted to let the player have the choice of whether they wanted to be X's or O's. So I actually did that in the beginning of programming. But again, that's more of like, I don't know, that could be seen as an auxiliary, like additional piece of code that you can do later. So either make a note of it or plan for it, but as long as you're thinking about it. And that's called a corner case. Well, you know, that's something that I might not think of initially when I'm writing the program, but it might be something that's important. So, and then another thing is persistence. You want to make sure that the game board reflects the moves that have already been made, and it doesn't just, you know, do something like reset itself periodically, because that would be no fun, and it would be a broken game and definitely a bug. So, you know, jot that down, make a note of that. So we need game board persistence, we need the computer to be assigned a value that doesn't change, either an X or an O, somehow. You know, we don't have to be super specific about that at this point. We want it to be turn-based, so, you know, the algorithm should go either user goes, then computer goes, or vice versa. Either computer goes and then user goes, as long as it's alternating in a fair way that you would expect if you were playing Tic Tac Toe with, say, a brother or sister or one of your friends at school. So, okay, trying to think of any other basics. Yeah, you've got the rules. Oh yes, and the rules. Also clearly define the rules, because you are going to have to code for that eventually throughout making this game. So you need to make a condition that determines when someone has won the game, which in this case is 3 of the same spaces in a row. You know, and we need to make sure that we write down this can be horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. So that's another condition that we're going to need to code for, because an easy thing that might happen is you might program it to where a vertical and a horizontal one wins, but you might forget about diagonal, and then you're like, you know, I got to go back and fix that bug, because technically, and that also ties into the testing phase. When you play the game, you want to test out every possible way to win, every possible way to lose. You know, and good testing will have, like, you know, good documentation with that. And I'll definitely be making videos about QA and testing as I learn that as well. Same thing with AI though. I don't know QA very well. I know about some basic unit testing. I know what good AI or good QA is supposed to do, but yeah, that'll be another video that we can learn together. So, anyways, AI. So we got the Tic Tac Toe, we got the rules, we got a condition for when someone wins. We also need to make a note of what happens when there are no available moves left and it is considered a draw. So this will have a similar result in the code. It will end the game, but it'll have a message or some kind of situation happen where it's like, uh-oh, nobody can win, and you need to be able to determine that at the correct time. You don't want that error message popping up after you make the first move. That would definitely be a bug, something you would have to fix. So, anyways, so we have our conditions. Either the computer wins, the player wins, or it's a draw, and we play until one of those conditions is met. So that, you know, automatically, if you're familiar with coding, that's going to translate to, I'm going to need a game loop for this game, and I'm going to need it to continually run until one of those 3 conditions is met. Or at any time, you know, maybe you want a button for the user to just select, oh, I just want to quit, I'm tired of playing, or, you know, and maybe even save the game. That could be a function. And honestly, I'd leave that for later. That's actually something that I just thought of just now, literally. So, it's a cool feature, but definitely not vital for your most basic game. That could be for like version 2 or version 3 or something you can program in the future. Ooh, fancy getting that. Alright. See anything I can get rid of? Yeah, don't need that, don't need that. I'm trying to do better with not picking up. Those are green, but they are really good. Can't use them yet. Nah, I'm not a big fan of sniper rifles. Alright, Book of the Storm, have that. Okay, anyways. And we're nearing on the 30 minutes, so that's probably a good place to stop. Like I said, I do have all of this documentation written up on the website, so check out the link in the description. You know, take a look around. I'm going to be covering as many topics as I can, and especially AI. Like I said, I just got a book from the library. It's on Bayesian. Maybe I'll add the title in there too. I'm watching videos on the LinkedIn with Allie K. Miller, I believe, and again, I'll add her name in the link as well, so you can kind of follow the same path. But basically, it's a very fascinating field, and I really wish I would have taken the actual AI class back at CSU for my degree, but who knows? I might still do that, you know, there's still time. But for now, I'm going to do some learning on my own and help you do the same. So yeah, try writing out your own tic-tac-toe plan. You know, maybe even try to do what you heard here before you look at the website and see if you've got more or less or the same of what I did. So that's another way to kind of practice on your own. Because again, I don't want to just be giving out all the answers. Like, I want you to be able to understand these concepts and learn on your own. Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, you can just copy. So that's no good for anything. But anywho, that's my time. So until next time, have fun, and I'll see you then. Bye.